Welcome to Rob Rides Cargo Bikes. In this video, I'll be recapping and analysing the 2025 VELO Berlin Cargo Bike Race. Let's go! So after the collective show was postponed this year, it pushed the start of my race calendar back to the VELO show, making this my first race of the year. I've both podiumed here and bombed out of finals in last place before, so I was obviously hoping to be channeling that podium energy this time round. Here's a quick recap of the rules for those who are new to cargo bike racing. There's a few different formats to cargo bike racing, but here's a quick rundown of the race format and rules at this particular venue. So up to 4 riders race in a heat through to quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then hopefully finals if you're fast enough. Each heat is 4 laps. The first lap is ridden empty, you load your cargo on the second lap, complete 2 laps loaded, unload on the final lap, and then finish the race empty. There are 4 sets of identical cargo, so each rider has the same load. In this case, there was a Euro box, a pool noodle, 2 filled 10-litre water containers, and a child's balance bike. Okay, so here we go for the first heat. It was a full heat, so 4 riders at once, and the top 2 riders go through to the next round. This is a really fun track, another new track again for VELO this year with some cool obstacles. We'll have a look at that on the first lap of this race. Okay, so in this heat there was me, obviously. There was another chap on a bullet. I've forgotten his name, very sorry. There was Thomas on the Cargo Bike Monkeys. We've got a good rivalry going. We've raced each other quite a few times and often exchanging positions on podiums. So that's a fun rivalry. And then Moritz joined from the Super Bicycles team for their first cargo bike racing experience, which was great to see brands get involved.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, and off we go. Strong start for me there, first into this first right-hand corner. And then we go into these bollards. These bollards were a lot of fun, lots of different lines through them. If you look in the rear camera, everyone's spread out a bit there. And then we came into this really cool switchback section. It was quite technical, made it really quite fun to ride. I realised that my cranks are quite long and my bottom bracket's quite low here because I smashed the pedal into the ground quite a few times throughout the heats. But this was a really fun section of the course. And you can see like all the other events happening in the background and the test tracks for the show. And then obviously the trade show in the back there. This was really cool to see, and then lots of people coming out to watch the racing as part of the show. And then this is on the back straight, and now we're into this big 180 corner to finish off the lap into the cargo area here. So I'm first into the cargo area, staying outside the line. I like to take this first cargo area because then no one can block you on the way out. I'm also trying to load everything on the pallet as much as I can before transferring it to the bike. There's the Euro box and the 2 water canisters. There's the pool noodle, and then the kid's balance bike. It was quite tricky, but you can see everyone else is also having similar kind of issues trying to fit it in. But I've opted not to secure my load this time. I thought I would take the potential risk of having my load not be secure to save the time. Because I noticed in practice that a lot of people were messing about with bungees and stuff and they were losing a lot of time. So I thought I'd try and keep it as an unsecure load this time and see how that works out for me. But yeah, as you can see through the switchbacks, the load isn't really moving around too much. So I'm pretty happy that that's going to be fine for the rest of the heat. And you can see Thomas and Moritz there staying really close behind. As we come into this back straight now, I'll just put the volume up because you can hear there was a really strong headwind. So maybe staying out in front wasn't the best choice. But yeah, you can see as we come into this 180-degree corner to finish off the second lap, that Thomas and Moritz are really close behind. And they're both staying with me pretty well. And what I was worried about here is if Thomas tried to make a move into first place, that Moritz would be able to squeeze by with him. And then I'd be then into third place and in a knockout position and not move forward. So I was still trying to manage that a little bit as best as I could by just going as fast as I could. But it seemed that Thomas and Moritz were getting caught up in their own little battle, and you can see at this part of the lap that I'm slowly making a small gap. So, I was quite happy with that, but like I say, just keeping my head down, not really bothering too much about what's going on behind me. But as I watch it back now in the rear camera, I can see that I'd made up a bit of a gap as we come into the back straight. But like I say, Thomas and Moritz having a really close battle for second and third. And of course, second place gets through and third place does not. So it's a race for promotion position there. And then as we come into the cargo area again, I managed to do a really efficient unload and unload everything at once, which means I'm straight back on the bike and off I go. Everything has to stay on the pallet for at least a short while after you ride off. So that stops people just throwing things on the pallet willy-nilly and just riding off and everything's a huge mess. So there was a slight hesitation for me to get back on the bike there to make sure everything was staying on the pallet. But luckily it did. And now I see I've got a bit of a gap halfway around this last lap, and I'm easing off a little bit, thinking that I should save some energy for the next heat, because barring some kind of huge mechanical disaster, I should be through. But you can see in the rear cam just about there that Thomas and Morris are having a really close battle in second and third. And like I say, second place gets through, third place does not. So this is a battle for a promotion position. And then we go across the line in first place for the first heat. Happy with that. And then Thomas just pips Morris to the line for second place to get the next promotion round. Okay, so here we are lining up for the next heat, which was actually the semi-final. So the top 2 riders in this race go through to the final, and the bottom 2, unfortunately, are knocked out. So in this race, there was me, obviously. There was Arnie on an Omnium, who you may remember from previous race videos, has absolutely insane turns of speed, quite often out of nowhere. There was Simon on the Cargo Bike Monkeys, who's done lots of cargo bike racing in the past, very experienced and fast rider. And then there was David, I think his name was, on the Omnium, who I've never seen before, but he'd brought a great crowd along cheering him on. So that was really great to see.
It's 3, 2, 1, cargo.
Okay, so here we go. Trying to do my signature first into the first corner, which almost worked, but Arnie was right next to me. So I had to give him some space because I didn't want to shove him in the fence, and then had to take a different line through the bollards. And then coming into the switchbacks, we're all really close, and that's what happens in these races. As you get further through the heats into the semi-finals and finals, everyone gets faster. So no gaps happening here, despite trying my best. But yeah, everyone's staying really close. And then I went a little bit wide on this exit of the switchback there. And then I sensed that Arnie was real close. So again, left him a little bit of space. I don't want to shove anyone into a fence. And there's that huge turn of speed I was talking about earlier. It just flies by. Super impressive. Yeah, he went a bit hot into this corner. Went pretty wide. Thought maybe I could inside. But like, no, knowing that we're stopping at this cargo area here, there was no point. So there we go. Stopping outside the line for the cargo area. Trying to load it up as much on the pallet as I can, and then transfer it to the bike. There's the water canisters, the Euro pallet, and then the pool noodle. For some reason, I didn't tuck it in properly this time. I think I just got a bit flustered. And then the balance bike was just sort of balanced on the top, literally a balance bike. So unsecure load again, and we'll see how that works out. Yeah, not ideal, obviously. So yeah, I'm thinking now, great, I could see the balance bike is moving, and with each movement the balance bike makes, I can see the pool noodles getting further and further to falling out. It was almost dragging on the floor there, and I'm thinking, if I stop now to fix this, I'm going to be knocked out of the race, so I may as well as carry on. And at this point, I remembered I'd seen a photo somewhere of a previous cargo bike race where someone had shoved a pool noodle down their t-shirt, and I can see the further and further it's coming out, the more and more the balance bike's moving, it's going to go. So that's what I do. I reach down, grab the pool noodle, shove it down my t-shirt. Thanks to Christian for these amazing photos. I think they're super funny. But then, of course, I was doing that. I'd lost a bit of speed. Simon overtakes me into this last corner, but then he falls off. Like, luckily, he was totally uninjured. I spoke to him after the race. He said what had happened is that some of his cargo had got caught on his handlebars. And like I've said many times before, you can be the fastest guy on the racetrack, much like Simon was in this heat. But if you don't manage the cargo correctly, it's going to come back and bite you, and you're not going to win the race. So unfortunately, Simon fell, but he was totally uninjured. So that was okay, I guess, for me at least. And then we're carrying on. Luckily, the pool noodle isn't bothering me too much. I mean, I can feel it, but it's like it's secure. Well, it was more secure down my t-shirt than it was in the front of the bike, that's for sure. And I'm sort of starting to build a little gap there back to second place. So that gives me a little bit of time and a little bit of a buffer when it comes to the unload to be able to rip that pool noodle out of my t-shirt and hopefully not lose too much time. And now here we come back into the cargo area. Now I'm in the furthest cargo area again, so I don't get blocked on the way out. You don't have to put the cargo back in the same cargo area that you took it from. Just as long as it all stays on the pallet, you're all good. And there we go. It's first in, first out. Having the pool noodle up my t-shirt didn't slow me down there, so that was fine. And then, yeah, I sort of realised at this point, oh, I've got quite a big gap now to second place. I don't have to go absolutely all out. Again, thinking, unless there's some kind of like bizarre mechanical, I'm probably through to the final. And then you can see David there in second place, just coming through the bollards as I'm halfway through the switchback. So I was like really quite far ahead. Strange race, this one. Nearly lost my cargo, thought I was going to be knocked out. Then having someone crash right in front of me, and then having a pool noodle down my t-shirt. It was, a strange race to end with like such a huge gap back to second place. But a really fun race, and it just shows the unpredictability of cargo bike racing and hopefully how much of a fun spectacle it is for the crowd. So there you go. Crossed the line, first place in the semi-final, through to the final. Super stoked. Really strange race, but yeah, a lot of fun. So really happy to be in the final and kind of fancy my chances, to be honest. We've got Thomas on the Orange Bullet, who's a super strong rider and has won so many cycling events, including cargo bike races in the past. We've got Thomas on the Cargo Bike Monkeys, who is in my first heat. He got through in his semi-final, and he's a regular on the podiums at cargo bike racing. We've got a great rivalry going. And then there was David on the Omnium, who I hadn't seen before, like I said, but he brought a great crowd who were cheering him on, and it was really great to see him bring the cargo spirit.
3, 2, 1, cargo!
Okay, and off we go. So there I go, my signature first into the first corner, so giving myself the unofficial Cargo Hole Shot Award for the finals there. Through the bollards, and then into the tight switchbacks. And you can see this is a final, as I said before. Each round that you advance, the faster everyone gets. You're not putting a gap on anyone in the first lap of a final, I can guarantee it. Everyone's staying really close together, and even if you feel like you've got a better cornering technique, everyone is like really good bike handlers at this level in the final. So you know, you have to be doing something inhuman to be able to make a gap. And you can see we're all still really close there, coming around the last corner to finish the lap. And I'm able to get my preferred cargo space, which is at the front, staying outside the lines, but then I'm not blocked when I leave. So, yeah, it's kind of a bit painful to watch this one back, to be honest. So my load was really just not good at all. Like, I can see I'm like faffing about there with the pool noodle, and now the balance bike just didn't want to go in properly, and like I couldn't get it properly secured. And then I can see everyone else is already gone. I remember someone in the crowd shouting, "Just go!" So I thought, yeah, all right, I guess I've got nothing to lose now. I'm in last place again, you know, first in, last out, pool noodles hanging out. But it seemed to be pinched just enough on the Eurobox that I was fairly confident that it wasn't going to come out. But even if it did, I was already in last place, so what have I got to lose? And yeah, just sort of trying to dig deep now and see if I can catch anyone further ahead. I've been in this position a few times before, been in the final and been in last place after a dodgy load. So, you know, I'm trying to draw on my experience of just not giving up. And of course, the experience in the semi-final where people were crashing and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, anything can happen in cargo bike racing. So that's spurring me on. I'm trying to give it my all, and I can see I'm just catching David a little bit now for third place, and that's really spurring me on to keep giving a big effort. Getting quite close now. I'm going to be thinking about lining him up for a pass if I can. Thinking maybe I can make a move through the bollards here as he takes this sort of more inside line, and not just have to check up on the brakes there a little bit. Wasn't able to get past, but now we start this really cool battle through the switchbacks where I'm trying to pass him, and he's protecting his lines, and I'm trying to get past, you know, like almost side by side there. And that's the other thing about these switchbacks, is it meant that, you know, everyone had an inside at some point. You know, we're all switching lines, and it was really cool, fun racing. And now we're really close. So I gave David a little bit of space on his side for the chicane, and he reciprocated, gave me a little bit of space. So that was a fun battle there for third place. I managed to pass David there. It was, I really enjoyed that battle. I hope he did too. Yeah, as we're coming around now into the last corner, I can see that the other two Thomases are they're still in the load area, and I'm thinking if I can get a really good unload, then I might be able to do all right here. But again, painful to watch. For the first time in the day, the handle of my Faro bowl got caught on the handlebar of the balance bike, which meant I lost a couple more seconds. And then I can see the two Thomases riding off into the distance. But still, I can see him. We're still on the same straight. I'm thinking maybe I can catch Thomas for second place, maybe. So just go into this frenzy mode, and you can see the bike moving around a lot more, just absolutely emptying the tank on my last lap, thinking, you know, go out in a blaze of glory, or at least try anyway. And then around the switchbacks, thinking maybe I'll get him on the back straight, or can maybe get him on the last corner. But again, like I said before, we're in the final now. Everyone is fast. Everyone is a good bike handler. I've caught him a little bit. See if I can maybe do a lunge on the last corner. But as you can see, he's just a little bit too far ahead. He crosses the line in second place. The other Thomas crossed the line in first place. And there's me, third place in the final. Yeah, stoked to have made the podium. As last year I got fourth place in this race, so still a good improvement. Though it is hard to watch it back, seeing how the race closed up at the end. And if I hadn't messed up the loading and unloading, maybe I could have done better and maybe even taken the win. But that's racing. If I'd have had that load and unload in the first heat, I could well have been knocked out much earlier in the day. I also got a bit lucky in the heats with my opponents, as the other semi-final was a totally stacked lineup with two favourites to do well getting knocked out of the competition, which just goes to show the unpredictability of racing. Saying that, if there are any wannabe sports therapists out there who want to try and figure out why I always buckle under pressure in finals, then please send me a mail. I'd love to find out. So, thanks to the Cargo Bike race team for putting on another great event. I got to see a bit behind the scenes of the organisation this time, and there's a lot of unseen work that happens to put these races on. No one gets paid. They're all doing it for the love of the sport. So thank you all so much for your hard work. Thanks to the VELO show for hosting the event and giving the race a platform to run. To all the spectators and supporters cheering us on, and once again to Christian for the photos of those pool noodles down my t-shirt. If you'd like to try cargo bike racing, then there are a few more events still to come this year. There's the United Cargo Bike Race in Bremen, as well as the Eurobike Eurocup in Frankfurt, both in June. Then there's the Flying Elephant Cargo Bike Race in Augsburg, and then, please don't kill me for this pronunciation, the Svealub in Copenhagen in August. I've put links to the events in the description and highly recommend you give it a go if there's a race near you, or even just go along and watch and give some support and spectate. It's so much fun to watch. Thanks for watching. If you've been following the channel for a while, you'll have noticed I haven't posted much lately, but rest assured I have more videos in the works, which I'm hoping to release ASAP. I'm also going to try and get to at least one of the upcoming races, so more videos should be coming soon. Thanks to everyone who supports my channel by watching, commenting and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.